It was after midnight when the shots rang out, 3 in rapid succession, louder than thunder, sharper than the city's most restless dreams. At that tower, the Oakridge Police Headquarters, usually a fortress of order and calm, had never felt more exposed. The news would hit every phone before dawn. A police general, held at gunpoint by one of his own. Within hours, the officer was in cuffs. The fallout would rock the city to its core and leave everyone asking, who really held the power? But before we dive into this chilling story, let's introduce the main characters. 1. General Benjamin Ben Harrow, 59. Oakridge powerful and long-serving police general. Harrow is respected by many as a war veteran and reformer, but is a master strategist whose career is built on both triumph and buried secrets. His calm exterior hides ruthless ambition and a willingness to do anything to protect his legacy. 2. Sergeant Trevor Banks, 42. A principled, relentless African-American sergeant who believes deeply in justice and the truth. Born and raised in Oakridge, Banks has a reputation for staying late and digging into the details others overlook. When he uncovers signs of corruption, he risks everything, his career, safety, and family, for the truth. 3. Detective Kim Alvarez, 38. A seasoned Latina detective and Trevor's close friend on the force. Kim is loyal but conflicted, torn between her loyalty to the department and her conscience. She finds herself caught in the crossfire when Banks confronts a general and faces her own crisis of courage. 4. Lauren Banks, 39. Trevor's devoted wife and anchor. Lauren is strong, supportive, and fiercely protective of her family. As the scandal unfolds, she becomes a target and must grapple with the cost of her husband's fight for justice. 5. Ivy Jacobs, 25. A rookie investigative journalist with relentless curiosity and a passion for uncovering the truth. Ivy risks her career and her safety to break open the scandal, ultimately helping to expose corruption at the highest level. 6. Chief Nadine Taylor, 50. Appointed to lead Oakridge Police Department after the scandal erupts. Chief Taylor is a reform-minded, no-nonsense leader determined to rebuild trust, implement change, and clean up the department's reputation. 7. FBI Special Agent Carla Monroe, 46. The lead FBI agent assigned to the Harrow case. Analytical, determined, and cool under pressure, Monroe spearheads a federal investigation into Oakridge police corruption and becomes a key player in bringing the general to justice. 8. Tyler Banks, 16. Trevor and Lauren's teenage son. Tyler struggles to understand the fallout from his father's choices and the family's sudden thrust into the spotlight. He represents the personal cost of public scandal and the hope for a better future. General Benjamin Ben Harrow was a household name in Oakridge, Illinois. Decades of policing had made him a symbol, tough on crime, sharp in the chute, a decorated war veteran who spoke at graduation ceremonies and funerals with the same granite resolve. At 59, he'd outlasted mayors, survived budget cuts, and brought down syndicates that once ruled the streets. His legend, though, was crafted from shadows as much as light. Officers called him the general not just for his title, but for his battlefield mind, strategic, relentless, uncompromising. Some said he could spot a lie from a mile away. Others whispered that he saw more than anyone ever should. But as every true crime fan knows, power comes with secrets. And Oakridge top cop was about to face the darkest reckoning of his life. Sergeant Trevor Banks was born for the badge. Raised on the South Side, he'd worked his way up from beat cop to detective, then sergeant. He believed in justice, but more than that, he believed in the truth. He also believed, perhaps naively, that truth was enough to keep a man safe. Banks was the kind of cop who always stayed late, sifting through evidence, running down leads long after others had clocked out. That's how he found the file. It was buried in an encrypted folder, an accidental find during a narcotics audit. Crescent Park, March 2021. Confidential. The arrest reports had been doctored, evidence logs altered, chain of custody signatures faked. Banks couldn't shake it. What was the general hiding? His best friend on the force, Detective Kim Alvarez, told him to let it go. You start asking questions about the general, you'll end up in a ditch. Trevor, don't play hero. Not here. But Banks was already in too deep. Oakridge was changing. National headlines had inflamed the city. Another year, Another wave of protests about police corruption and brutality. The city council demanded transparency. Community activists circled City Hall. Trust in the police was eroding by the day. General Harrow doubled down. He launched internal reviews, attended listening sessions, gave rousing speeches. But the rank and file saw the cracks forming. More transfers, more resignations, more whispers that the general's empire was on borrowed time. Meanwhile, Banks pieced together what he could. The files showed that evidence had gone missing in over a dozen cases, the same ones where suspects walked or witnesses vanished, or careers ended suddenly. He kept hitting a wall, access denied, files deleted, logs wiped. But the one thing he did have was a USB stick with copies. And every time he looked at it, his gut screamed two things. This could save lives, or it could get me killed. It happened on a Wednesday, a day like any other, until it wasn't. Banks arrived early, hoping to catch up on paperwork before the squad meeting. His phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "You're not safe. Drop the investigation, or your family pays first." He glanced through the blinds, suddenly aware of how exposed he was. That night, his wife Lauren found him staring at the living room wall, sweat beading on his brow. "I can't let this go," he finally whispered. "But I don't know who I can trust. Not even internal affairs. Not even Kim." Lauren took his hands, her voice trembling. "Trevor, whatever you're doing, is it worth losing us?" He had no answer. On Friday, General Harrow called a late-night strategy meeting, unusual for a man so famously averse to overtime. The room was windowless, thick with a scent of stale coffee. The general's bodyguard stood just outside. Banks entered, evidence packet in hand. Kim Alvarez was already there, arms folded, her face unreadable. The general turned, eyes cold. "Sergeant Banks, I hear you've been running your own investigations." Banks slid the file across the table. "I just want the truth. That's all I've ever wanted, sir." Harrow's eyes narrowed. "You want to know what truth costs?" "Banks, it costs everything." There was a pause, a slow building dread. Then, the general pressed a silent alarm under the table. The door behind Banks locked with a dull click. "You're not leaving until we sort this out." What happened next would fuel weeks of media coverage and endless YouTube speculation. Banks reached for his phone, but Kim was faster. She pulled her sidearm, eyes wet with betrayal. "Don't, Trevor, please, just drop it. You don't know what it's capable of." The general stood, hand moving towards his own holster. Banks reacted on instinct, drawing his service pistol, leveling it at the general's chest. The three stood frozen, breathless. Harrow spoke softly, chillingly calm. "Do it, son. If you think you're right, pull the trigger. Otherwise, you're finished right here, right now." Kim's gun trembled. "Trevor, don't." And then, security burst in. In a split second, Banks was tackled, his weapon clattering to the floor. The general, stone-faced, ordered the cuffs. "Sergeant Banks is under arrest for attempted murder and insubordination. Take him away." As Banks was let out, he caught Kim's eye. She mouthed two words, "I'm sorry." By dawn, the story was everywhere. Police general held at gunpoint. Local and national news outlets ran breathless updates. The department issued a statement. Hero cop faces attempted assassination by one of his own. The general held a televised press conference, voice grave but resolute, condemning the tragic actions of a once promising officer. In his cell, Banks replayed every moment. His phone privileges were revoked. Internal Affairs visited him only once, offering a deal if he recanted and turned over any evidence. Banks refused. He knew what would happen if he signed anything. He'd be labeled unstable, fired quietly, and maybe something worse. Lauren tried to visit, but was told Banks was in solitary for his own safety. She started receiving strange phone calls at night. Heavy breathing, silence, then a click. Kim Alvarez disappeared, her badge left in her mailbox. The press dug up Banks' past, painting him as a lone wolf, a man with a history of emotional instability. YouTube channels and podcasts took sides. Some painted Banks as a hero, others as a traitor. If you're gripped by this story so far, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for the full truth behind Oakridge's most shocking police scandal. Share your theories below. Whose side are you on? But the story wasn't over. A week after Banks' arrest, an anonymous tip arrived at the city's biggest true crime blog. Look in the general safe, code 2213. You'll find what you're looking for. A rookie journalist, Ivy Jacobs, decided to risk everything. She broke into the station after hours, heart pounding in her chest, the tip fresh in her mind. Her camera captured every tense moment as she made her way to the general's office. Inside the safe, she found documents, bundles of cash, photographs, a flash drive labeled CPK, Final. Ivy uploaded the files to a secure cloud and fled. Within hours, the evidence was sent to every news agency in town and went viral on Reddit and YouTube. The files revealed a years-long cover-up, payoffs, missing evidence, false arrests, and a list of officers silenced for knowing too much. At the top, General Benjamin Harrow. The city exploded. Protests swelled. News helicopters hovered over City Hall. Anonymous hackers leaked more files, implicating politicians, judges, even the police union head. The mayor called for the general's resignation. The FBI launched a probe. The city council promised sweeping reforms. Overnight, Banks went from villain to possible whistleblower. But there was another twist. The files suggested that Banks was set up. The general had orchestrated a strategy meeting and instructed Kim to provoke him. Security footage, uncut, was finally released. It showed the general daring Banks to draw first, manipulating the moment for the cameras. Kim Alvarez, fearing for her life, fled to a safe house and began secretly cooperating with federal investigators. It all came to a head 2 weeks later. The FBI raided Oakridge Police Headquarters. General Harrow was led out in handcuffs, his face ashen, eyes burning with the knowledge that his empire was collapsing in real time. Cameras captured the moment. It was replayed 1,000 times across the internet. Banks was released, but the victory felt hollow. He had lost his career, his peace, and, at least for now, his trust in the system. But his story didn't end there. He held a press conference, surrounded by Lauren and a small group of supporters. "I did what I thought was right," he said, "but the cost was higher than I could have imagined. If you're watching this, know that the truth matters. Speak out. Don't let fear win." General Harrow faced a mountain of charges: corruption, conspiracy, obstruction of justice. But in a final twist, he made bail and vanished the night before his first court appearance. The manhunt began. The city waited, breathless. Banks, now a private citizen, became a reluctant folk hero. Lauren started a foundation for whistleblowers. Kim, still in hiding, published a memoir. Ivy Jacobs, the rookie journalist, got her own show. Yet the scars remained. Oakridge would heal, but the lesson lingered. Because sometimes the greatest threats don't come from the shadows. They wear badges, hold press conferences, and look you in the eye. As the story rippled across the nation, it ignited debates about police power, accountability, and the cost of courage. Whose side would you have taken in that room? Was Banks a hero, or a man pushed too far? And what would you have done if the truth could destroy everything you loved? If you found this story gripping, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video for more in-depth true crime stories every week. Your support helps us uncover the truth and tell stories that matter. Now, we want to hear from you. If you were in Sergeant Banks' shoes, knowing what you know now, would you risk everything for the truth? Or would you protect your family and stay silent? Drop your thoughts and theories in the comments below. Oakridge had become America's latest true crime obsession. News anchors dissected every frame of the security footage. Podcasts debated Banks' guilt or innocence. YouTube channel posted breakdowns and conspiracies, some painting Harrow as a tragic hero betrayed by his own men, others calling Banks the American Serpico. Within a week, the FBI's raid had gone viral. Bodycam footage of Harrow's arrest aired live on major networks. Protesters chanted outside police headquarters. Justice for Banks trended on Twitter, but the city was divided. Old allies distanced themselves from the general, but some politicians, union representatives, and a few hardline officers spun a counter-narrative. This was a witch hunt. No proof, no conviction, innocent until proven guilty. Banks was released from custody in the dead of night. Even then, he could feel the stays, some of gratitude, others of hate. Lauren met him at the gate, holding his hand like a lifeline. That night, sitting together in their darkened living room, Lauren whispered, "You're a free man, but you'll never be free of this." Banks nodded. "I just want the truth out. I want our son to know I tried." The FBI's case was massive. Hundreds of thousands of documents, hours of wiretaps, testimony from officers who'd never dared speak. In a secret safe house, Kim Alvarez gave a full confession, her voice trembling but clear. The general orchestrated everything. He used us, turned us against each other. He said it was for the greater good. Ivy Jacobs' uploads have become legendary. Her channel, Inside the Blue Line, gained hundreds of thousands of subscribers overnight. Each video, painstakingly researched, broke new ground, revealing payoffs, intimidation, even mysterious deaths that, in hindsight, looked less like suicides and more like cleanups. As new evidence rolled in, the U.S. Attorney's Office moved swiftly. Harrow was indicted on 21 counts: racketeering, conspiracy, obstruction, evidence tampering, and accessory to murder. But Harrow was gone. His home was empty, bank accounts drained, passport flagged. The man who had ruled Oakridge now stalked the country as a fugitive. The Oakridge case became a crucible for America's biggest questions about law enforcement and corruption. Panels on CNN and Fox News clashed nightly. Was Banks a whistleblower or traitor? Was the FBI overreaching? Would justice ever be served? The mayor, under pressure, created an independent commission. Oakridge is not alone, he declared at a press conference. But we will be an example, for good or for ill. He fired half a police board, suspended multiple officers, and hired a new, reform-minded police chief. At this point in the story, if you're as captivated by the twists and turns as we are, make sure you smash that like button and subscribe. We got exclusive interviews and inside access coming up in our next episode. And let us know in the comments, whose side are you on, Banks or the system? Banks was offered his old job back, publicly, at least. But every time he stepped outside, someone followed. His son was bullied at school. Lauren got anonymous threats. They moved in with Lauren's sister across town. At night, Banks lay awake, wondering if it was all worth it. Sometimes, he doubted himself. Was I reckless? Did I put my family in danger for nothing? One day, as he picked up groceries, a woman stopped him by the checkout. Her eyes brimmed with tears. "My brother was railroaded by the general. He died in prison. Thank you for fighting." Banks could barely answer. He realized then that the impact of truth wasn't measured in headlines. It was in the silent gratitude of the wounded. FBI Special Agent Carla Monroe led the manhunt. Weeks passed. Tips came from everywhere: Nevada, Florida, even Mexico. One sighting turned violent. In a cheap Texas motel, a man matching Harrow's description shot 2 bounty hunters before escaping into the desert. The stress was crushing. Monroe found herself waking in cold sweats, haunted by Harrow's ghostly presence. "He's a man who knows how to disappear," she told the team, "but is not invincible. No one is." Then, a break. A car, registered under a false name, was found abandoned outside Tulsa, Oklahoma. Surveillance footage showed Harrow, hooded and limping, walking into the night. For the first time, the hunter looked hunted. With Harrow on the run, Oakridge turned into a pressure cooker. Rumors flew. He'd left a kill list, planted bombs, bribed officials. The city's new police chief, Nadine Taylor, ordered a full audit of all officers. 2 were arrested for leaking intel. Another fled to Canada. Kim Alvarez, living under a new name, watched from afar as Oakridge battled its own demons. She penned an anonymous op-ed: "We failed to protect the people because we protected each other." The Blue Wall wasn't built for justice. It was built for survival. Across the country, true crime fans devoured every update. Subreddit speculated wildly. Who helped Harrow escape? Would he strike back? If you're following this story, don't forget to share it with friends. Every view, like, and share helps us shine a light on corruption and bring stories like this to the forefront. And let us know in the comments, should whistleblowers get police protection? After a month on the run, Harrow was finally caught. in a shabby motel outside Louisville, Kentucky. He'd changed his appearance, but couldn't hide the limp. When the SWAT team stormed the room, he didn't resist. His arrest was live-streamed, another viral moment. Harrow looked directly into the camera as he was led away. "The truth isn't always what you think," he said. Back in Oakridge, the trial was the event of the decade. Reporters swarmed the courthouse. Protesters filled the park outside, some demanding Harrow's head, others chanting, "Set him free." Banks took the stand on day 2. He described the secret meeting, the moment of fear, the choice that changed his life. The courtroom held its breath as he described leveling his weapon at the general. It was him or the truth, and in that room, the truth was more dangerous than the gun. Kim testified by video, her face blurred for safety. He said, "You're either with me or against me, and you don't want to be against me." The prosecution showed the security footage, the manipulation, the setup. The jury watched in stunned silence as the uncut tape played out. Harrow's defense team tried to paint Banks as unstable, a cop on the edge. But every witness, every piece of evidence, pointed back to the general's web of control. After 4 weeks, the jury returned, guilty on all counts. The courtroom exploded. Reporters ran for the phones. Lauren cried with relief. Banks exhaled for the first time in months. But the general, ever the tactician, showed no emotion. As he was led away, he paused to look at Banks. "You think you won, son? The system is bigger than both of us. You just turned on your own." For a moment, Banks felt the weight of the general's words. Was he a hero, or just a man who'd broken the code? In the months that followed, Oakridge tried to heal. Police reform swept the city. Body cams became mandatory. Civilian review boards were set up. Officers received new training. Yet not everyone was satisfied. Some cops felt betrayed, some citizens felt vindicated, and others just wanted to forget. Banks struggled with PTSD. At night, he replayed that meeting with Harrow, the look in Kim's eyes, the endless what-ifs. Lauren stood by him, but their lives had changed forever. Their son, once proud of his father's badge, now wore a baseball cap low over his eyes. Yet the community remembered. They rallied behind Banks and Lauren, raising money for whistleblower protections. Banks began speaking at universities, his message clear: truth costs everything, but lies cost more. Kim Alvarez, still in hiding, sent Banks a letter. "You did what I couldn't. You broke the chain. I hope you find peace." Ivy Jacobs was offered a job at a national network, but turned it down to keep inside the Blue Line Independent. Her closing words in the series finale still ring out. Sometimes, justice is just a beginning. The real question is, who will stand for truth when the cameras are gone? The legacy of the Oakridge scandal rippled outward. Other cities launched their own investigations. Old cases were reopened. The Justice Department published a damning report on police corruption nationwide. But for many in Oakridge, scars remained. Some wounds, it seemed, would never heal. Banks visited the old precinct one last time. The building was half empty, walls stripped of old photos. He lingered by his old locker, hands trembling. The new chief found him there. "You did good, Trevor. It's never been about just one man." Banks smiled sadly. "No, it never is." If you made it this far, thank you for joining us on this journey through power, loyalty, and the true price of justice. Remember, every like, subscribe, and share helps us bring more stories like this to light, and maybe, just maybe, make a difference. If you found this story moving, consider hitting the bell so you never miss an update, and drop your thought below. If you found yourself in Sergeant Banks' shoes, knowing what you know now, would you risk everything for the truth, even if it meant endangering your family and future? Or would you stay silent and hope someone else would step up? Let's talk about it in the comments. Your voice matters. The trial of General Benjamin Harrow was over, but the story was only just beginning for the rest of the country. The Justice Department's scathing report set off a tidal wave. National talk shows, podcasts, and YouTube channels made Oakridge their centerpiece for a deeper conversation. How many cities have their own General Harrow? A congressional hearing brought Lauren Banks to Washington, D.C. She sat, trembling but resolute, and told a packed chamber, My husband believed in the system. He risked everything for it. We want our children to be able to trust the people who wear the badge, not fear them. Her words made the news. The price of justice in Oakridge trended nationwide. Other whistleblowers came forward. Cities like Dayton, Little Rock, and Cleveland announced task forces to audit police leadership. The message was clear. Oakridge was a warning and a call. Trevor Banks never wore the badge again. After months of therapy for PTSD and anxiety, he turned to advocacy. He started a foundation, Blue Truth Project, offering resources, counseling, and legal aid for cops caught between conscience and code. Lauren managed the foundation's day-to-day work. Their son, Tyler, struggled for a while but found purpose in soccer and writing. The family grew closer, holding on to each other through storm after storm. At speaking events, Trevor was always candid. I used to believe there were only good cops and bad cops. Now I know, sometimes good people get caught up in bad systems. The hardest thing isn't facing a gun. It's facing your friends, your family, your own doubts. He got emails every week, stories from every state, every rank. Some were cries for help, some were accusations, some just wanted to say thank you. Trevor replied to every single one. For Kim Alvarez, the road was different. She moved states, changed her name, started over. Some days, she felt haunted by guilt. Other days, she felt relief. Therapy helped, but the scars ran deep. She stayed in touch with Banks, always anonymously. On the anniversary of the trial, she mailed him a letter. You saved my life. Maybe someday I'll be brave enough to use my real name again. Kim's testimony inspired more officers to come forward, proving one voice could break the silence. Ivy Jacobs, the rookie reporter, was now a national figure. She signed a deal for a best-selling book, Blue Line, Red Flags, and became a regular on true crime panels. But she kept her YouTube channel raw, unpolished, and fiercely independent. She ended every video with the same words. No matter where you live, someone out there knows the truth. The only question is, will they risk everything to tell it? Her audience kept growing. Young people, activists, even retired police joined the comments to share their own stories. The power of truth had never felt more electric. If you're inspired by Ivy's journey, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and share this video to help others find the courage to speak out. Let us know in the comments, who do you trust in your community and why? 2 years after the scandal, Oakridge was still rebuilding. Chief Nadine Taylor's reforms were sweeping. Anonymous tip lines, independent review boards, mental health checks for officers, regular community forums, crime rates dipped, public trust slowly rebounded. High school seniors wrote essays on Trevor Banks for scholarship competitions. For the first time, Oakridge became a model for what to do after disaster, not just what went wrong. But the city would never forget. There were still those who missed the old days, who grumbled about traitors and outsiders. Yet the voices for change were louder now, more hopeful, less afraid. General Benjamin Harrow was sentenced to 45 years in federal prison. On the day of his sentencing, the courtroom was packed. He addressed the judge only once. I did what I thought was right. History will judge us all. He was sent to a remote facility in Colorado, forbidden from contacting former colleagues. Some say he wrote a memoir in prison. Others say he never spoke another word. Rumors spread for years. Did Harrow have more secrets? Did he protect others who got away? The files he left behind still led to investigations, both local and national. Some cases will never be solved. Every year, Oakridge held a small candlelight vigil outside the old precinct. Victims' families, whistleblowers, and community leaders gathered to remember. Sometimes the press showed up, sometimes it was just a few souls in the rain. Banks, Lauren, and Tyler always attended. One night, a teenager approached Banks, eyes shining. "My dad said you were the bravest man in the city," he whispered. "I want to be a cop one day, but I want to do it the right way." Banks hugged him. "You'll do better. You already know the hardest part, telling the truth, even when it costs you." In the end, Oakridge wasn't special for what happened. It was special for how it responded, not with denial, but with reckoning. Banks sometimes visited the city park where it all started, watching his children played on new equipment funded by community grants. He thought about the night he'd face Harrow, gun shaking in his hand, knowing every choice meant someone lost. He knew he would never be truly free of that moment, but he'd learned to carry it, not as a wound, but as a badge of honor. The badge was gone, but the mission remained. Thank you for staying with us through every twist, heartbreak, and triumph of this incredible true crime story. If you believe stories like this can spark real change, help us out. Hit like, subscribe, and share this video with someone who cares about justice. Your support lets us keep telling the stories others are afraid to share. Now, we want your voice. If you were a cop in Oakridge, faced with the same impossible choices, would you risk your life, career, and family to speak out, or would you keep quiet and hope the system would fix itself? Do you believe real change is possible, or is corruption too deeply rooted? Drop your answer in the comments below. Your thoughts matter more than you know. And if you want more powerful true crime stories, click the bell icon so you never miss an update. We'll see you in the next video.